Good morning, everyone. How we doing today? Today's the last day of February, right? Isn't it? Yeah, today's the last day of February, which means March starts tomorrow, which is the spring's coming. Spring will be here before you know it. First comment there from our friend over there on the X platform, I know, buddy. Yes, indeed. We have very, very interesting things happening here. Let me, Good afternoon. That's over in the UK, I think. Mr. Triumph ST is over in the UK, the good old UK. I've been to UK not recently, but I've been there like 4 or 5 times, something like that, over there in London. I have friends over there, and my band ended up going there in '79. At the same time, the Stray Cats were over there, my band in Netherlands. Oh, the Netherlands. Okay, there we go. I thought it was UK for something. I'm thinking of Triumph. So, we are waiting on the spring, because we've had enough snow, and tomorrow is meteorological first day of spring. The actual first day of spring in the U.S. is March the 20th, which is my birthday. So that's how I know it's March the 20th. So what the heck's going on? There's some bugs in Final Cut Pro 12. I'm not even sure if they're limited to one version, but bugs have been reported. Our friend Daniel says hello from Canada. I don't know how to pronounce your city name, but I know you're in Canada. You still got snow over there in Canada? I presume you do. I presume you do. Yesterday was your birthday, so happy birthday, fellow Pisces. It's the Pisces time of the year for birthdays. So we're going to talk about Final Cut Pro 12. We're going to talk about bugs that have been reported. We're going to talk about there's a couple of other things. I got a list here somewhere. Let's see. Let's go over to our Facebook group. That's where I think next update will come in 3 months. Now you're talking about feature update. I'm talking about a bug fix update. Bug fix update's coming before 3 months. They got too many bugs. 3 months. Here's the deal. 6 months ago, almost 6 months ago, there was supposed to be an announcement for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Last August is when we typically got this announcement for November. Well, last August, they came out and said, we're not going to do a Creative Summit in 2025. That's not what they said, but that's what happened. The Creative Summit was canceled in 2025. They said, we're going to have a 2026 summit in the spring. That's what they said. And it's the spring in March, and we still haven't heard anything. They were supposed to make an announcement in December. Things got mixed up with the release of Final Cut Pro 12, I guess, and they didn't make an announcement in December. And they still haven't made an announcement, and it's going to be March tomorrow. Now, back to your point, you said next update will come in 3 months. There is no sense in having a Final Cut Pro Creator Summit without a major feature update to Final Cut Pro. There's no sense in having one if you don't have something big happening in the world of Final Cut Pro. just having a Creative Summit and we're using the same version of Final Cut Pro that's been out for 3 months, that doesn't work. There has to be a big feature update for a Creative Summit. So 3 months, that would put it in June, or in the past, just like they did this year, they pre-announced a forthcoming version of Final Cut Pro. They did it at 3 summits. The very first summit, which was not in Cupertino, they let people see rolls. And the rolls didn't come out until the fall. And 2 other Creative Summits, let me think, 10.3, was that? No, that came out. 10.4 was debuted at the Creative Summit, but it didn't come out till later in the year. And 10.4.5 the following year was debuted at the Creative Summit, and that also did not come out until later in the year. So they indeed could have an announcement. They could have a new version of Final Cut out in 3 months, 2 to 3 months, or they could have it out in 3 or 4 months, but they have the Creative Summit and they show it to us, which is what they've done in the past. That's not unusual. They've done that in the past. So I would say a new version of Final Cut. I would say a version of Final Cut, an update with features, is forthcoming. Could be 3 months, could be 4 months or 5 months. Usually it's about 6 months recently. Apart from fixing bugs, of which I have experienced none of my very limited use of the features, I would also like them to add more languages to the transcript option, like in my case, German. I'm not positive, I think that's Mac OS dependent. I think that more languages is depending on Mac OS. Could be wrong, but that's what I've heard prior. Sometimes Final Cut Pro gets blamed for things that are not Final Cut Pro's issue. So we'll have to see. But here we go. Still using 11, managed to reproduce and work around a crashing bug involving copying captions between libraries. What version of it's Final Cut Pro 12 you're talking about, but what is it, the CS version or the standard version, the regular version? Or did it make any difference? What's the best title plugin for Final Cut Pro? The best title plugin? Well, there's lots of them. BreadFX has a bunch of them that are very cool. Motion VFX has some. Ripple Training has some. So there's lots of cool title plugins, but Final Cut has some of their own, especially if you're on 12 CS, Creator Studio. There's new ones. So I have 1,000 different third-party plugins in Final Cut I've been buying over the years. I'm in a position to upgrade to 12 today. Very good. Back up 11 before you upgrade. Back up your version of Final Cut Pro or your version of Logic Pro. A lot of people were having problems with Logic Pro 12. If you backed up your version of Logic Pro 11, which Apple recommends, I've been recommending it for years, back it up before updating. Back it up before updating. That's what I do. I have versions of Final Cut Pro going back to 10.0. So I've been talking about the new plugin from Chris Hawking and Ian Anderson, ScriptStar, and I've really enjoying that. It has made a big difference in editing in Final Cut Pro. Questioning whether to upgrade to Tahoe first. Let me see, what am I on? About this Mac. I'm on Sequoia 15.7, so I've been using 12 in Sequoia. Do a time machine backup of your current Mac OS. That's the other thing I recommend. And if you're going to install Tahoe, install it on a separate partition? No. Separate something, separate volume. Create a second virtual volume and install Tahoe on that. That's what I have right now. I have I have Tahoe and Sequoia. I use Sequoia because everything works in Sequoia. I have Tahoe installed, but there's some apps that I like that don't install properly on Tahoe, at least the last time I tried it. Now, Monday, let's talk about what's going on with that. Let's talk about that a second here. I'm going to pull this up. Here we go, right here. This is what Tim Cook announced on the X platform. A big week ahead. Let me see. Do I have? Yeah, there we go. Big week ahead. It all starts Monday morning. Apple launch. So that's a pretty big, because people weren't saying, we knew about March the 4th in New York, the event that Apple announced. Big week ahead. It all starts Monday morning. So big week, not a big couple of days. Okay. Big week starts on Monday, according to Tim Cook over on the X platform. So this is probably new MacBook Pros. I'm looking for the M5 Mac Mini personally. I'd like to see that. I am not going to buy a MacBook Pro now because the rumors are there's going to be a touchscreen MacBook Pro later in 2026. So there'll be a touchscreen, maybe the M6 MacBook Pro. So it's not that I think the touchscreen is that cool, but I'd like to be able to use the Apple Pencil to scribble on it and stuff. That would be very cool. There's some things that I would use the touchscreen for, but that's what the rumors are. So I would not spend $5,000 on a MacBook Pro until they have a touchscreen, and then I'll consider it. I have 26.1 on an external SSD. Very, very smart. I meant transcript search, and yes, you are right about macOS being one that controls which languages you can transcribe to, according to Philip H., when I asked if they would add Danish in the future. Absolutely. Will Monday morning bring update to Final Cut Pro? It's too early for a feature update to Final Cut Pro, in my opinion, because they just brought it out January the 28th. A month ago, we got Final Cut Pro 12. They've never released a feature update 30 days after a feature update. A bug fix update, that can happen anytime, but that's not what Tim Cook's talking about. Good morning, y'all. Sorry I'm late. Our friend Ben from down there in Louisiana. Did you try DaVinci Audio Enhancement? I have not tried DaVinci. Since I can do text-based editing with StarScript now, I'm staying in Final Cut Pro more. I haven't yet been able to try out my copy of ScriptStar. I need to find out how to use it in Final Cut Pro. Can you point to tutorials and maybe show how you are using it in a short video? I have an 18-minute video. Showing how to use it from the people who developed it. Let's pull that up. Oh, Pizza Hut commercial. Let's do this. Let me see here. Countdown MacBook. Here we go. It's right here on my YouTube page. System audio.
Let's start life with this video, which is just a very simple video that I made. Now, it has been analyzed. So at some point in the past, it probably happened on import, I did analyze and fix, and I did transcribe in English, and this happened.
So go right over to my YouTube page, and there's an 18-minute tutorial over there. B-2 Bomber, is that what that's what your icon is there? I note Motion VFX will stop installing some plugins on March the 12th. Make sure I had what I own on 2 machines. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means because I downloaded them all. They're in the motion. Are they in the Motions folder or somewhere else? I'm not sure if they're somewhere else. Definitely download if you have them. I have all standalone stuff. Final Cut Pro is lagging a lot on my M1. Is that every library, every project is lagging, or just one specific or 2 specific ones? Because a lot of times it's the media that's causing the lagging, or it's too many layers, or it's a third-party plugin. There's lots of reasons why it can lag. It shouldn't be lagging on just a basic library with an M1. I would think that would be fine. I'm not having any lagging at all on my M4 Mac Mini Pro. Hello from Richmond. How are you doing down in Richmond? Every project. How many projects is it? Do you have 10 projects that are lagging for you? Are you using different media? Just start a new project with some basic QuickTime movies and see if it's lagging for you. I haven't heard that too much, but big multicams can cause it to lag. If you have 10 clips in a multicam, that'll lag. Third-party plugins, if you're using the same third-party plugins, that can cause lagging. But just lagging with regular media and stuff, that doesn't sound good. So I'm not seeing any lagging personally. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to get Mr. Here. We can't not have this. We got to have that for our friends watching. The Final Cutters. I'm calling you the Final Cutters. I think that's the best name unless I hear otherwise from you. Since this is Final Cut TV, that makes you Final Cutters. Me too. I'll be a Final Cutter as well. So I got a new toy. It's not cheap. Well, it's cheap comparatively, but I got a new toy. You want to see it? I'll show you a video that I shot with it. Let's go over there and watch. What the heck? Copy of black. Huh. That's very weird. Wait a second. That's there. Movies is here. Not now. Why isn't that showing up? Oh, there we go. Here we go. Now, what the heck is that? Driveway. Turn that off. Here we go. This is a new toy that I got this week. This is my latest toy. I just got this week. It's my new camera person. It's the DJI Neo 2. It's basically a sophisticated selfie drone. Right now, I'm transmitting audio to it with my Hollyland Lark Max 2. Now the interesting thing is the Hollyland is plugged into my iPhone, and the iPhone will record 32-bit. But the DJI Neo 2 only records audio in 16-bit. So one of the things you're going to get. I'm just taking a walk up my drive looking for spring. I hope spring comes around here soon. Feel like a Jedi Knight. I have Jedi powers with this thing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty sophisticated for what it is. It's a selfie drone. It's for taking selfies more than anything. It works pretty well so far. A little bit of snow over here, left still. I'm not sure why it turned around like that. It has its quirks, that's for sure. I do have the 4K mini drone as well, the DJI one, when I want to do different kind of filming, but this one is specifically a selfie drone, very specifically. So I figured I'd give it a shot. And you actually don't need any app at all. You can just control it with hand gestures if you want to. All right. This is my driveway. I don't know what the heck is going on here. Something's wrong with Ecamm Live. I'm having problems with it switching to different cameras. For some reason, I'd had a problem with it today. Anyway, so can you tell me a simple plugin or way to add background to text like we see in short videos? Background to text. Well, you can use, there's different. Go on YouTube and just do a search, Final Cut Pro background to text, and the video will come up for you. Not the Dolly one. I'm not sure what you mean, the Dolly one. I just finished my first video in Final Cut iPad. I couldn't get the project to open in Final Cut Pro Mac when I copied to my SSD. I had to copy it to my movies on my Mac, a hard drive. Anyone else have this experience? I have never edited any video in Final Cut for iPad. Not yet. I will if I ever subscribe. There's several YouTube videos showing how to do this. It relies on the magnetic mask. Ripple Training has a free tutorial on YouTube about it. There you go. Dolly 1 is a robotic dolly for motion control for $11.9, out of my price range for now. Saw it in a YouTube video. I saw a video with you with a large amount of snow. It's all gone now. We've had 3 snows this winter that amounted to, the first one was about 2 or 3 inches. The big one was about 10 inches. That's a big snow for us. And then we had another one about 4 inches, 5 inches. So we've had 3 snows. It's not unusual for us to have a snow in March. So we're not out of the woods yet, but it's going to be very, very warm this week. They're talking about some kind of a weather event Monday going into Tuesday. They don't know if it's going to be a couple inches of snow or some sleet and frozen rain, whatever. But yeah, it's warming up dramatically. We're going to be in the 60s up to 70 within the next week, but that doesn't mean it can't get cold again and we could have a snow. We've had snows in March before. So we have had snows in March before. So let's go over a couple of things. Let me just pull this up. Since we're talking about, let me pull this up. Since we're talking about bugs in Final Cut Pro, let's pull up this one. Let's pull up this one. Larry Jordan. Apple's improved search in Final Cut Pro is very unreliable. This just came out this week, and he says he did a transcript search of words that he knows were in the video, and even the words were in captions when created with Final Cut Pro. So Final Cut Pro created a caption and couldn't find the word with transcript search. It's in a caption, but transcript search could not find a word. This is what he's going with over here in this article. It's on Larry Jordan's. So this is one of the bugs. This should not be the case. I have not used transcript search myself other than with ScriptStar. In order to use ScriptStar, it has to go through and do a transcript, whatever they do, on import, or you have to do it manually. But anyway, Larry Jordan said it's problematic. It doesn't find words that are absolutely there. So you can go on Larry Jordan's. So this says, search has traditionally been a strong feature in Final Cut Pro, but the way both transcript search and visual search are implemented make them unreliable, which means they are essentially useless. So he's saying, Larry Jordan, he's saying they're essentially useless because of the way it's implemented now. So that's not good. That's not good publicity. I've had to search miss clips with the word and include clips that did not have the word included. Not very accurate now. That's exactly. You and Larry Jordan are on the same page there, Ben. I bought Recall Toolbox, the late night app, but I can't copy elements from my timeline into it. The explanations aren't very clear. It's a shame there isn't an explanatory video like on ScriptStar. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't Recall Toolbox. I don't know. Me and Larry go way back. I've met Larry a couple times over the years at NAB, and we had the LACP debut of Off the Tracks with Brad Olson a few years back, and I went to Hollywood then for the debut, and I met Larry then, met him a few times over the years. I mean, how could you not? He's everywhere. He'll probably be at NAB. Speaking of NAB, I'm not sure what's going on with whether I go or not this year. Right now I'm booked. I have my pass, I have my hotel room, I have my airfare, but all that can be canceled without any financial penalty, which is what I did last year. I bought them last year too, but I canceled them. I didn't go to NAB. So we'll see. You know what? One of the things that depends on whether I go to NAB is two things. I'll be curious what the Final Cut Pro track that Future Media Conferences is talking about. They put it on their website. There's going to be Apple-sponsored Final Cut Pro track at NAB this year. So I'll be curious. I'll be curious what that's about, number one. Because if that's something interesting, I'll go to report to everybody what's going on live as much as I can. The other thing is, it depends on when the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit is. Now, I have a film debut in Maryland. Not a debut. I have a film, my film that I've been working on for 4 or 5 years. We've already had three. We've had three viewings so far over the last 3 or 4 years. And we have another viewing with another updated edit at the end of April, the week after NAB. It's April the 26th, I think, a Sunday. And so I have to be here for that. But it depends on when the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit is, on whether I go to NAB or not. Probably, because I'll go to the summit first. That'll be the most important event that gets me out of the house and gets me to the West Coast. But if it's going to be, listen, it would not surprise me at this point if they delay it till November. Because Final Cut Pro 12 coming out January the 28th kind of messed up the, I'm just guessing this, it kind of messed up the Creative Summit schedule, because Final Cut Pro 12 would have been the big update for Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. That would have been the big update. So, but they didn't have it at the end of January. I know they said the spring starts in March and it ends at the end of, at the third week of June the 20th, I think. So technically it could be between now and June the 20th. But WWDC's in June. It could be after WWDC, could be before. I'm saying May or June at this point. I can't see it happening. It's not going to happen in March. March is already here. It's probably not going to happen in April. They typically give over 60 days notice so people can make arrangements. So that puts us in May or June for the Creative Summit if we see it this spring as they said we're going to. That's what they told us. But so far, they haven't delivered on that promise. I used to work with his assistant on many projects, was on his show at NAB many years ago also. Does he still do that Digital Production Buzz show from NAB any longer? He does. No, I don't think he does the Buzz. Does he? He does something at NAB where he interviews people. I don't know if it's called the Buzz anymore. That he bought that from Philip. I also met Larry on a super meet in Amsterdam. He's got a big following. He doesn't like social media. I edited an interview, a podcast with him. I didn't do the interview, but I edited the podcast with Larry Jordan. He does not like social media at all. He doesn't like it. But he uses it to promote his stuff, but he doesn't like it himself. The late Debbie Price was the real powerhouse behind Larry back in the day, and a good friend, sorely missed. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you think about that? That's just one of the bugs. I've seen other bugs as well for Final Cut Pro 12. And so we could be getting, it's been over a month. We could see at any point, it's going to be a bug fix, I presume, 12.0.1. 12.1 would be a feature update, plus it could have bug fixes. It's too soon for a feature update because 12 just came out on January the 28th, 1 month ago today. They pre-announced it 2 weeks ahead of time, and then they released it on the 28th, or 10 days, whatever the heck it was. So it's too early for a feature update. It's way too early, especially because they're supposed to be doing the Creative Summit, because that's what they've said. Back in last August, they said they will let you know more in December. Well, December, the last day of December, they said, oh, we can't tell you about the Creative Summit yet. We're still making plans for 2026. But in the meantime, Apple's going to be doing something at NAB with us. So I'll be curious what that is. I know something about it. Social media, a necessary evil in business today. So I use social media to benefit me. I don't get involved in weird discussions and argue with people. Not interested. If I see somebody doing that I'm a friend or a colleague, I get rid of them. I'm not interested in any kind of divisiveness to divide people. I'm not interested. I won't do it. I don't do it on X. I don't do it on Facebook. I don't do it on YouTube. Constructive criticism about something is fine. Just being chronically negative, calling people names, being divisive, not interested. I'll get you out of my social circle immediately. Not interested in that nonsense. I use it for promoting. YouTube, for example. I do this show on YouTube. It's also on Facebook Live. It's also on X. Been on it for years. Let me see where the heck that is. I'm going to take that down. That's up. That's down. There we go. It's adjusting my stand-up desk a little bit because my tripod for my camera is on it. So unless they quickly Sherlock Search Star, Script Star. So it's not really that complicated an app. I mean, they're just making favorites, but they certainly could do that. They certainly could. But I hope Chris and Ian make money before they do. And then, as Larry Jordan says, it's not even working properly. See, that's disappointing. That not only do they not give us features on an aggressive pace, an aggressive schedule, but now they're giving us features that are like not really working that properly, or they need improvement. Scriptar. So another example, they gave us captions in November of 2024 with Final Cut Pro 11, and they just abandoned them. Here it is 16, 17 months later, nothing's been done to improve that. They are the most rudimentary version of captions. I'd never use them except with third-party apps that need them. Don't give us features and just abandon them. That they give us the basic feature like this version of, and Larry talks about it in the article, you gave us transcript search and we don't have access to a text file? You can't export a PDF? That's like half-baked. I don't know how you do that kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't like you were rushed because you gave us a 12.1 in March of 2024. You gave us 12.2 6 months later with like one feature, ProRes RAW. It isn't like you only had 3 weeks to get this done. You've had over a year. And it's just not it's just very basic. So don't leave it that way. Give us more advanced features. Let us export a PDF. Give us true text-based editing where we can look at a paragraph and select things, and then it'll highlight in the browser. Now, ScriptStar for $10 does this pretty well. It creates favorites with the transcript, and you can select a favorite, and it will highlight that favorite in the browser clip, and then you can drop that into the timeline. But it's an additional $10, and my suggestion is this. Since this is a feature that Final Cut Pro absolutely should have, let me deduct the $10 from ScriptStar off of my subscription. I think that's fair. Let me deduct the $10 with this feature that Final Cut Pro should certainly have from my subscription if I subscribe. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, 3 years ago, Blackmagic, Premiere, and Avid all have had text-based editing for 3 years. So I use captions extensively with YouTube videos. Very cool. I use, not for television though, Charter doesn't use them on public access TV. ScriptStar is very cool. I've only used it twice on small 30-minute projects, but was impressed. So now you don't have to drag a library over. You can just drag an event over. They haven't just had an update to it already. And so that's cool. You don't have to drag a whole library over. So it'll be less time for it to go through and create I guess it's an XML file. Yeah, it's very cool. I use it all the time. So $10, $9.99 on the App Store. ScriptStar, all one word. ScriptStar. So what's going to be the next feature update to Final Cut Pro? I expect a bug fix this week, next week, whenever. Next feature update's probably going to be months from now, and it'll probably be around the Creative Summit, if they do the Creative Summit in the spring like they said they were going to do. But so far, they haven't followed through with there's two things. There's walk, and then there's talk. So far, we've only gotten talk about the Creative Summit. And I know FMC is ready to do it as soon as Apple decides whatever. I mean, FMC can't do anything until Apple says, okay, let's do it. This is the week we can do it. Because you got to get clearance from Tim Cook to bring people into the Apple Spaceship Campus. You got to make sure the Final Cut Pro Apps team is not going on vacation. In summertime, probably they go on vacation. You got to make sure, Ben from FMC, they got to book a hotel for like 200 people that has conference rooms in Cupertino. This all takes work and coordination. So we'll have to see how that goes, but I hope something happens. You know, I'm not that interested in June. If it happens in May, that'll be okay. But in the summertime, come on, people are gone, people are on vacation, people can't make it. If they can't do it like let me see, May, they're not going to do it in April because that's less than 60 days. They always give us 60 days notice so people can make arrangements. April, I think, is out because that's less than 60 days. So maybe in May, maybe sometime in May would be my guess. June, WWDC happens, and once again, people at Apple are busy. Who the heck knows? Wait a minute, Apple software developers get vacations? I bet they get a lot of vacations. I bet they accumulate a lot of vacation days. I know I used to I worked for a company in the 90s for like 15 years. It was a construction company, and I was a commercial carpenter. And man, it was a great company in Washington. It was a millwork company. We did millwork. Paid vacation. I had 3 weeks paid vacation with them. Paid health insurance for me. Paid sick days, 2 weeks sick days. 100% 401k match. It was an incredible company, especially for construction. But I quit them and got involved in like the mid-teens, 2013, 14, something like that. And I worked for a company in Baltimore that used to do video production suites. They would install video production suites, and they would train people on Final Cut Pro, which is what my job was. I would do the installs, and I would also train people on Final Cut Pro, even DVD Studio Pro a little bit, a couple times. And then I left them and went to work at the National Archives as a video editor, and I quickly became the post-production supervisor at the National Archives, and I was down there for quite a while. But I got vacation everywhere I went. I've got 3 weeks typically, 3 weeks vacation. So I didn't take vacations as much as I would use the days to make long weekends and stuff, like 4th of July weekend. If it was on a Thursday, I would take the Friday off and have 4 days. And I just punched those days in like that. I don't think anybody is in the cat room, but we'll check. Nope. They're out. They're out the back window watching the birds. They are out the back window watching the birds. So, now, what's going on for NAB? I think last year they had 55,000 attendees, 55,000, which is down from the high of 110,000 at one point. And it went down before COVID hit. And then last year was 55,000 attendees. So if they can stabilize at 50,000 or so attendees, they'll survive, I guess. But anyway, if I go, I'll be going because of the Final Cut Pro track. I know something about it, but I'm not going to say anything until it's announced. But if I do go, one of the things I'll be covering is the Final Cut Pro track, not so much to take the classes, just to report exactly what's going on. Shout out to Chris Hawking for helping to solve my FCP XML export bug so I could use ScriptStar. He and Ian are the best, absolutely. We had him on the show. We got a 18-minute demo video of ScriptStar with Ian and Chris on my YouTube channel, the good old YouTube channels. It's pretty cool. I like doing these on Saturdays. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, listen, it's easy to do tutorials, YouTube videos, podcasts when something's happening with Final Cut Pro. Like when 12 came out, so you saw a dozen videos covering exactly the same 3 features over and over and over again. And nothing wrong with that. But I don't need to see the same thing over and over again. What's much harder is to keep talking about Final Cut Pro when nothing's going on. Now, Final Cut Pro Radio, we've been out for 11 years. 11 years. Now, it slows down a little bit when there's not much to talk about. But now that 12 came out, we'll have a couple more videos out, a couple more podcasts out. And I've also started one Final Cut TV podcast, which is a video podcast since Apple's pushing video podcasts now. So I just started that as well over there on Apple Podcasts. Is there anything else going on? Let me see if I check my notes. Let me just go over there and check my notes. Do you think 2026 will be the year of the audio roles-based mixer finally arrive at its need for serious video editing these days? Yes, but I've been hoping for that for the last couple of years, that and text-based editing. So that would be a good feature update to have at a Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. Roles-based mixer. That would be excellent. That would be superb. Absolutely superb to have as the big ticket item for the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. So, are there going to be any surprises? Let's go back to, are there going to be any surprises with Tim Cook? Big week ahead. It all starts Monday morning. So there's going to be mostly Apple stuff, but any other surprises? I'm looking for M5 Mac Mini Pro. And I'll be curious to see how much they give me for my M4 Mac Mini Pro as a trade-in. As a trade-in. What do you think? We'll have to see. So something's happening this week. It's not unusual. Apple typically has Mac events, Mac releases in March, spring. September, October, and March are typical for Apple to release hardware. You'll get a fraction of the cost and a fraction of what you get selling it yourself. I get typically 50% when I did my MacBook Pro or something else. They give you 50%. Oh, the phones. I do the phones. I trade in my phone. So they'll give you 50%, but they make it super easy. They give you a box and a label to send it back in, and they give you 50% of that's just an average. So if they give me 50% of what I paid for that towards a new M5 Mac Mini Pro, I'm probably going to do it. If they updated the Mac Mini Pro every year, I wouldn't do it. But now it's been 18 months, 15 months since the Mac M4 came out. So that's a long enough time span between the two. I'll see. I'll see if I do it. They give a pretty good deal because they give you make it simple to trade in. Yes, I could sell it myself with the hassle of doing that, which I've done. I mean, I sold my Mac Pro, my 2019 Mac Pro, locally for cash. I sold it on Facebook Marketplace for cash only. It's the only way I do business, and I made about half the money back after having it for a few years. So if I at least get 50% back of what I paid for it, plus towards a new one, I'd probably do that. We'll have to see. Well, let me see what else I have here. I had a couple of other things. We are there. We are there. Oh, here's the other thing. Now, I've been saying this for years, okay? I've been saying this for years that people say, oh, no, they're not going to ever do that. I said, yeah, they are. They are. And here's the rumor. Touchscreen MacBook Pro. Touchscreen OLED MacBook Pro coming in 2026 with Dynamic Island redesigned macOS controls. Now, I knew they've been doing this for years. Of course, they've had a touchscreen MacBook Pro and Cupertino. They've had it for years working on it. So we'll see, if it comes in 2026. I would not buy a MacBook Pro based on this rumor alone. I would wait for this to come out, and even then, I might not get the first generation. I have a 2021 MacBook Pro Max. I like it, and I have my Mac Mini Pro for my desktop, and I like it. Does Tim Cook or Steve Jobs have been linked to Final Cut Pro in Apple history in any ways or citations? Well, Steve Jobs, if you go watch Off the Tracks. Go watch Off the Tracks. You can look for it on YouTube. You can get an abridged version. It's the documentary about Final Cut Pro 10 that Brad Olson did and I helped him with. Steve Jobs saw iMovie X and declared it to be the future of Final Cut Pro. Exactly. That's pretty much exactly what happened. He also made them put Final Cut Pro 7 back in the store, the Apple store, because when Final Cut Pro 10 came out, the same day they got rid of Final Cut Pro 7. You can no longer buy it. I think in September of that year, Steve Jobs made them put it back. That was just not a good move. But everybody knows that now, looking in hindsight. But back then, not a good move. When Final Cut Pro 10 came out, I was editing with Final Cut Pro 7 at the National Archives on my edit suite on the 5th floor. And I got Final Cut Pro 10 because I had my own laptop. I used to bring my laptop back and forth, I think. I used to bring it back and forth because you get searched when you leave the National Archives every day. And I had my MacBook Pro in there. I had to start it up sometime to show them it wasn't government property. I remember the touch tablet conversions of MacBooks in the aftermarket. Yeah, this will be a genuine thing. Who the heck knows how they're going to do it? But of course they're going to have a touchscreen MacBook Pro. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and touch the screen all day, but I wouldn't mind being able to write on the screen like you can on the iPad with an Apple Pencil. That would be very cool. Just to write on it, circle things, and occasionally touch things or move things around with your fingers rather than mouse, click, hold, drag, just grab it with your finger and move it. We'll have to see how they implement it. I'm sure it's going to be something. But anyway, it looks like it's here now, so they'll be doing that. Looks like it's here now, so they will be doing that. Anything else going on? Let's see what our division of viewers are. It's about even. X, YouTube, Facebook. All three platforms. One of these days I'll broadcast live to Instagram, but I don't have any following over there. This is all X and YouTube comments. I don't see any Facebook comments. But I've had Facebook comments in the past, so we finally get some. Finally get some. I know when I quit the live stream and I check Facebook, it has usually hundreds of views. Typically, it'll have 100, 200, 300 views while we're live. So there's a lot of people watching. Lots of people watching. I remember regarding reading a Steve Jobs interview many, many years ago, and he said they tested touch screens for laptops, and the testers complained about their arms getting tired reaching horizontally. Well, there's two things wrong with that, Ben. Number one is Steve Jobs was the master of, hey, look over here. That's number one. Number two is nobody expects you to constantly use the touch screen all the time. Just some of the time. Like when a QuickTime player's up, hit the play button. Because I do that now with my MacBook Pro. After using an iPad and touching things, I'll touch the screen and say, why isn't QuickTime playing? Nobody's going to be using the touch screen constantly. They're going to use keyboard and mouse, trackpad, sometimes use the touch, like writing on screen with an Apple Pencil. And Final Cut Pro, I wouldn't mind being able to use the Apple Pencil on the screen. I think that'd be very cool. Where is that? Oh, here it is. So I'll give you a perfect example. Steve Jobs held up the original iPod at an Apple event, and he says, who wants to watch a video on a tiny screen like this? A year later, he had the video iPod came out. So he is the master of, hey, look over here. He did that all the time. Greetings from Cork, Ireland. I have Irish in my heritage. I follow another stream that runs on two YouTube channels, Twitch X and LinkedIn, referred to them as the Five Nations. So I have YouTube, X, and Facebook. I have Instagram I could broadcast to, and I have Twitch. That I could broadcast to, but these are the three main ones right now. So I could, maybe I'll try this sometime. I can broadcast both horizontally and vertically at the same time. Two separate streams. Simultaneously, I could put a horizontal video on YouTube and a vertical video on YouTube, or a vertical video on Instagram, and not affect this version. And it's not just a slice like this. I can do it I can make a square and broadcast that to Instagram and have space underneath for captions and comments and stuff. It's not just a slice out of this. You can arrange it any way you want on the vertical stream. So, you know, I'm going to go up. There's a couple miles up the road from me. I live in Carroll County, Maryland. In Baltimore County, there's a gas station that's full serve. It's a little country gas station, but when you pull up, you run over the rubber thing and it rings the bell, and somebody comes out and pumps your gas. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because today is the last day they sold the gas station. So today is the very last day that they're going to be in business at the gas station with full serve. The new person taking it over is going to be self-serve like everybody else is. So I'm going to run up there, take my cameras up there, and just see if I can do a quick interview, because that's in 2026. Do the viewers know any gas station that's full serve in 2026? Well, this one is, and I'm going to go up there and it's only a few miles from here. I'm going to go up there and see if I can talk to somebody before they shut it down. Sharing desktop videos is hard to do simultaneously, landscape and portrait. Not the way that Ecamm Live does it. So, for example, instead of having a vertical slice what I would do is I would make a square version for the vertical square and place that on the top part of the vertical stream. And then underneath, I can do your comments underneath instead of on top of the video. Or I could do a second person. If I had two people, I could do one person on top square, another person underneath square, stacked on top of each other into a vertical slice. It's completely customizable. I could do a horizontal video in that vertical slices if I wanted to. It's a completely independent version of this live stream. You can do it any way you want. You can do graphics independent of this live stream. You can do special graphics over there. It's very, very cool. I really, really like it. So I haven't tried it yet, but I've tried it's in beta. I've tried the beta, but I haven't tried the actual do the live stream yet. So it would not surprise me to see 12.0.1 come out this week with bug fixes. This week, probably, maybe next week, but maybe this week. Who the heck knows? What's Tim Cook going to announce? What is Tim Cook going to announce? Look at that. Let me pull this up. So this is the new podcast that I've got. Final Cut TV, which is basically I'm taking videos, clips from the live streams that I do and putting them into a podcast, short versions, not the full 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever. So this one's out right now on Apple. This is my second Final Cut podcast, Final Cut TV. Just search for Final Cut TV. First episode out is the 18-minute version of text-based editing in Final Cut Pro with ScriptStar. You can download it, whatever you want. But I'm going to keep on doing that for the time being. The other streamer I mentioned has also done the stacked video with Ecamm Live. Yeah, I wouldn't just do it. I wouldn't do this. That wouldn't be interesting. I would do a square version of part of me and put it in there in this vertical one. And underneath, I would have titles. I would have your comments coming in underneath of the square video. That's what my idea is. So. And when you use that version of Ecamm, you have the horizontal video and the vertical video at the same time, so you can watch both. I can. So I can watch both the horizontal framing and the vertical framing. So I could do both. All right. Anything else going on? I'm going to get out of here and get up to that gas station. I think it's called, this is Charlie's is the name of it. See what's going on up there for a little bit. Go up there and interview if they feel like talking about it. I'll slap on a microphone, my Hollyland Lark Max 2 mic, and just do a little bit of filming. It's really easy. It's a little country gas station. If nothing else, I'm just going to film people coming up and getting full service in 2026. Now, of course, Tim Cook said they're starting their Mac week on Monday, so we'll see what's announced. If there's a new M5 MacBook Pro, M5 Mac Mini Pro, those would be the things I'd be interested in. The Mac Studio, I'm not interested in that. I don't need that kind of horsepower. I think a Mac Mini Pro, I'm so pleased with this M4 Mac Mini Pro. Is it a Pro? Mac Mini Pro? I think it is. I'm so pleased with it that I would just get the M5. Apple makes it very easy to do business with trade-ins. They finance it for a year with 0% interest if you have an Apple card. I don't got to outlay thousands of dollars. It's just payments each month. 0% interest, though. So that's pretty cool. But I'll probably be tempted. There's no rush. This M4 is doing great. Probably be tempted to do that. We'll have to see how that goes. All right. Anything else before we get out of here for today? Anything else? If there's any announcement comes out this week, I'm watching the FMC website to see what that Final Cut Pro track is at NAB. They've released the schedule up to Monday. So it's not Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It's not Friday, Saturday, or Sunday yet. I think they've got up Monday, so we'll have to see what that track actually is. Our friend Daniel says, have a nice day to all. Absolutely. You too, Daniel. Keep warm. Keep warm. And if there's any news during the week, if Tim Cook says, hey, I'm giving away subscriptions to the Apple Creator Studio, whatever, I'll come back on and do a quick video in the afternoon. But I don't really expect there to be any Final Cut Pro news other than maybe the update 12.0.1 bug fix. If that comes out, we might do a short live stream during the week. We'll have to see. All right, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go up see the gas station. What update? You mean the bug fix update? That's the only thing anybody expects. Yeah, I'm surprised it's not out already. I'm surprised that the bug fix is not out already. That's why I say, where is it? I mean, it's only been a month. It came out on January 28th, and now we're at February 28th, so we'll have to see. But I expect it to be this week, 12.0.1. I don't expect any feature update for months. Typically, recently, 6 months between feature updates. That would put us in July. Came out on January 28th. It would be the end of July. But they could have the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in May, show us the new version with the new features, and say it's coming out later this year, or it's coming out in July, which they've done for Final Cut Pro 4, 10.4, and 10.4.5 the year later. Both of those versions we got to see at the Creative Summit, and we got to post about it on social media. There was no restrictions, but it wasn't out until December, later in the year. So they could do that again in May, show us a version of Final Cut that's coming out in the fall. That would be great. We'll still get a debut of the new features at the Creative Summit. Now, here's the other thing. It would not surprise me if they said, look, things didn't work out for the spring. We're going to have the Creative Summit back in November. That, to me, that would be okay. I'd rather have it in November than June. I'm not having it in the summertime or people on vacation and stuff. If they don't have it in by May, then I would say wait till November, even though that's a long time. There's no sense in having a Creative Summit if you don't have something big to talk about. There's no sense in having a Creative Summit if there's nothing big in the Final Cut Pro world to talk about. So if nothing's going to be ready until the fall, let's have it in the fall. I mean, that's at this point, we already didn't have it last year. 2025 Creative Summit was canceled. So whatever. I'm not worried about it. It'll happen when it happens. We'll get an announcement at some point. But at this point, I don't think it's not going to be in March or April because they always give us 60 plus days so people can make preparations. They got to take off work. They got to take vacation. They got to do something with their family. They got to do dog sitting. They got to make travel arrangements. FMC has to rent a hotel or get a hotel that can handle 200 people. You can't do that in 30 to 60 days. It has to be longer than 60. So at this point, I'm going to say maybe June, but June, you're getting into the summertime. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then if they have it, suppose they had it in May. When's the next one? A year from then? It would not surprise me if they have it in May or June, that the next one is a year plus a few months and they go back to November. That's what would not surprise me at all. Anyway, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. If there's no news this week, Final Cut Pro wise, or if Tim Cook introduces something interesting, I'll maybe do a quick live stream. But other than that, we'll see each and every one of you next Saturday. Look at that. I forgot to. Let's do that one more time. Final Cut Pro team, all the Final Cutters that watch the show, thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to y'all. If not before then, I'll talk to y'all next week. Thanks a lot.